September 12th, 2003. Didn't make the morning papers, he died in his sleep. In a world of loneliness, corruption and need, hatred of hatred, politics and greed. But I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. Yes, I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. An honest man, one who cared, a heart that big, well, that's something rare. In a world of broken promises and lies, it's comforting to know a man could.
How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see if I can get rid of some of this music. This, by the way, is some friends of mine out of Hamilton. This is a band called Trick Bag, founded by King Biscuit, Richard Newell, the late Richard Newell. Trick Bag has had many members over the years. Some of them, the names you might recognize, they've been members of bands like Crowbar. In fact, Trick Bag played with Crowbar numerous times. Kelly J sits in with the band on a regular basis up until a couple of years ago when his health started to fail. For those of you who don't know Kelly J was the founder of a Hamilton rock and roll band called Crowbar. And Crowbar was a well-known Canadian band. You'll hear their music on the radio all the time, even now. Probably hear the song "Oh What a Feeling, Oh What a Rush." That song earned Kelly induction into the Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as the songwriter of that classic Canadian rock and roll song, "Oh What a Feeling, Oh What a Rush." I was lucky enough back in 2004, Kelly got married for the third time on the Harbor Queen in Hamilton. Kelly grew up in Hamilton, North End boy, North End, Hamilton. He got married on the Harbor Queen, taking a tour around Hamilton Harbor while Trick Bag was performing. Quite an afternoon, actually. And right after he got married, I had arranged this ahead of time. When the ship pulled back into the dock down by Leander Boat Club, right next to the Leander Boat Club in Hamilton Harbor, when the ship pulled up and docked, I was the first one down the gangway, went out to the parking lot, got my car, pulled up right in front of the gangway, and waited. And when Kelly and his bride came down I might even have a picture of that. Hang on a second, let me see if I can find a picture. Gary, I will pull you up here in just a second, bud. Yeah, there's one. Let me see if I can add this. This is the car I was driving the day that Kelly J got married, and I pulled up at the end of the gangway right on the docks in Hamilton, right next to the Leander Boat Club, opened the back door and waited for him and his brand new bride to step into this 1935 Ford Cabriolet. This is the very same car that Farrah Fawcett drove in the made-for-TV movie Double Exposure, the Gloria Burke White story. I realize on YouTube you folks can't see this right now, so let's flip over here and I will click play, and on YouTube you can start watching the live broadcast from Facebook. I will come back in here and mute this cam on YouTube so you guys don't get double the audio. See you, YouTube. You're still watching. It's all yours. Live Facebook right there on YouTube just for you. When I used to be a bad boy. Oh yeah, now. Well, I'm gonna start doing all those things that I should. I'm gonna get me a job working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. On my pay when I used to be a bad boy. Oh yeah, not good. Well, I'm gonna start doing everything that I should. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see if I can get rid of some of this music. This, by the way, is some friends of mine out of Hamilton. This is a band called Trick Bag, founded by King Biscuit, Richard Newell, the late Richard Newell. Trick Bag has had many members over the years. Some of them, the names you might recognize, they've been members of bands like Crowbar. In fact, Trick Bag played with Crowbar numerous times. KJ sits in on a regular. For those of you who don't know Kelly J was the founder of a Hamilton rock and roll band called Crowbar. And Crowbar was a well-known Canadian band. You'll hear their music on the radio all the time, even now. Song "Oh What a Feeling, Oh What a Rush." That song earned Kelly induction into the Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as the songwriter of that classic Canadian rock and roll song, "Oh What a Feeling, Oh What a Rush." I was lucky enough back in 2000 and I think it was 2004. Kelly got married for the third time on the Harbor in Hamilton. He grew up in Hamilton, North End boy, North End Hamilton. He got married on the Harbor Queen, taking a tour around Hamilton Harbor while Trick Bag was performing. Uh, Quite an afternoon, actually. And right after he got married, I had arranged this ahead of time. When the ship pulled back into the dock down by Leander Boat Club, right next to the Leander Boat Club in Hamilton Harbor, when the ship pulled up and docked, I was the first one down the gangway, went out to the parking lot, got my car, pulled up right in front of the gangway, and waited. And when Kelly and his bride came down I might even have a picture of that. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find a picture. Gary, I will pull you up here in just a second, bud. Yeah, there's one. Let me see if I can add this. This is the car I was driving the day that Kelly J got married. And I pulled up at the end of the gangway, right on the docks in Hamilton, right next to Leander Boat Club, opened the back door and waited for him and his brand new bride to step into this 1935 Ford Cabriolet. This is the very same car that Farrah Fawcett drove in the made-for-TV movie Double Exposure, the Gloria Burke White story. I realize on YouTube you folks can't see this right now, so let's flip over here and I will click play. And on YouTube, you can start watching the live broadcast from Facebook. I will come back in here and mute this cam on YouTube so you guys don't get double the audio. See you, YouTube. You're still watching. It's all yours. Live Facebook right there on YouTube just for you. Okay, Facebook, I'm back to you. This car was driven by Farrah Fawcett in a movie called Double Exposure, the Gloria Burke White story. Um, it is an original 1935 flathead V8 four-door Ford Phaeton convertible. And that's what I pulled up to the dock with. And that picture that you're looking at, by the way, that was on my front lawn on Bunting Road in St. Catharines. I pulled up to the dock, held the back door open, and Kelly and his bride walked out and stepped into that car. And I drove them to their honeymoon post-wedding party, I guess, at a hotel in downtown Hamilton. But first, I took him around through his old childhood neighborhood, and he had a great time. His wife, by the way, was from Alberta. That's where Kelly lives now, Alberta. Hey, Gary.
Hey.
And his wife had never been to his childhood neighborhood. So I was kind of happy that I got the chance to take Kelly, a Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, for a drive through his childhood neighborhood on his wedding day in a classic 1935 Ford. It was a pretty cool day. Hey, buddy, things. Welcome.
Trying to watch. I was trying to watch and see how I comment, but it brought me right here. So I was like, oh, okay, shit. That's a nice car. Dude, that would be a fun afternoon.
Oh, that car, it hits a sweet spot between 40 and 45 miles an hour. You get it out on a back country. You're from down here, so head out towards like Wayne Fleet, Cayuga on the back country roads where they're long and straight, right?
Right through
about 40 miles an hour, and it just floats down the road. You don't feel bumps. It weighs about 5,500 pounds, almost 3 ton worth of car. There's more steel in one fender of that car than there is in an entire brand new Lincoln. Okay, I can sit on the front fenders of that car. It doesn't move. The driver's door, when you take it off the hinges, weighs over 170 pounds.
Well, they definitely don't make cars
like that anymore. Oh no. They don't make cars like that anymore. The bench seat, the driver's bench seat, is what holds the doorposts and supports the back doors. The seat is part of the body frame of the car going. It's what gives the car strength.
That's crazy.
The dash panel where the windshield is, the firewall assembly, that gives the driver's seat, and the back seat across the back of the car gives the body strength. Where the doors are, there's no wooden floor.
You know how all these companies have been doing the resurgence of like the nostalgic rebranding? They'll take an old car and they'll try to do a new version of it. Can you imagine if they tried to do a new version of this? They would probably fail so badly, you know.
Oh yeah, it's like the new T-Birds.
Yeah.
The new T-Birds look like something out of a Barbie dollhouse. Like they're the most ugly looking piece of rounded out garbage.
Yeah, they're trying to do the whole muscle car thing right now, and I think they're just like seriously failing, even at that. You know, I mean, I'm sure they're probably decent cars and all that, but they're not what the original was. So I don't understand what this big thing is people love to take an old car and fix it up. That's kind of half the fun in it. I don't want to.
It's because we're too stupid. We have to have extra protection. We have to have computerized systems that tell us when we're leaving our lane, when somebody's coming up beside us. We have to have computerized systems that drive our friggin' cars. Why? Because we are a society that has generationally allowed our government to pass legislation based on the premise that we're too fucking stupid to look after ourselves.
Dude, you drive
Okay?
that car and a car comes along and hits it, I guarantee that car's gonna fucking still be standing. You'll drive away in that fucking thing. You try that with any new car today, and
Well,
done.
now keep in mind, this is 1935 metal.
Yeah,
The
but that's
connections on the,
all metal.
I know, but
Got the
you
weight
take,
behind
you take a half-inch thick piece of steel plate, stand it out in the weather from 1935 until now, for the last, what, 78 years or something? It's going to be
but
half, be able to kick it in half, Gary. As
here's an
beautiful and
example.
heavy as that car was when it was built, now all those frame rails, I know I've had this car apart, okay?
Yeah.
Um, except for the engine. The engine is the original flathead V8, and as far as I can tell from the gaskets that are still visible, it hasn't been apart from the day it was built.
I
But
collect
most of the
I collect
rest of
cast
the car
iron.
has been apart.
I collect cast iron pot and pans because that's where I would do all my cooking. All my cooking's on cast iron.
I love
And
cooking on
the old,
cast iron.
oh yeah, and the older the better. And sure, there is some variance, in between a cast iron pan or a cast iron something or other and that car. You know what I mean?
Well,
But
yeah,
I honestly that I've got examples from way back then. In fact, my oldest piece is a Dutch oven, and it's from 1830. And this thing is just as solid as anything else I've got.
yep,
You know.
yep.
So I mean, I think it comes back to how you
Now
take care of it, how you.
this car were brand new. Okay, if all the
Yeah.
metal and all the nuts and bolts and washers and connections and everything else that hold it together, if it was brand spanking new and you pulled up beside me in a smart car, you'd look like road pizza when I was done. Okay, mind you,
So
my Harley would turn a smart car into road pizza. Now, in response to Jason's comment here about our metal is weak for some reason now, I work in a metal shop right now. As some of you know, I haven't had regular employment since the local anti racism coalition took it upon themselves to harass my employer until I was fired following my Chris Riddle rallies. So, the temp agency I'm with, they have me in all kinds of different companies, working in all kinds of different jobs. And right now I'm in a metal shop, and I've had some experience as a consumer of custom machined metal work, okay, whether it's steel, stainless steel, aluminum, billet aluminum, hardened aluminum. So I have a little bit of hands on, not book knowledge, not school knowledge, hands on learned knowledge about metallurgy. And I have friends who work in the foundry business. Right now, our metals are 50% recycled or trash components. For instance, if they're making an engine block for your GM car, 50% of the steel that's making up that engine block is new, made from raw materials. The other 50% is a mix of scrap, rusty, recycled, mixed up different kinds of metals. For instance, hardened stainless steel, like the kind of steel they use to cut other steel on a milling machine, okay, a tool, right? That steel, when dumped into um, a cauldron, right, dumped into a vat and melted down, that steel doesn't mix and react to the doesn't mix with the other metals and it doesn't react in the same way during the cooling process. And in many cases, it will form back into perhaps a thin layer or a puddle somewhere inside the mixture of steel. And when you're machining, you'll see suddenly your tool starts to chop up and down. And that's because it's hitting a harder layer of steel inside this forged chunk. And that's
There's
most of our North American steel. If you think about the big stink with Trump and Canada selling them Chinese crappy steel, that's what they're talking about. Instead of being 90% new product and only 10% recycled crap, what Canada sold to the US was a shit ton of recycled crap mixed in with a little bit of new product sold from China to Canada. Canada relabeled it to be not what it is and sold it to the US.
See, I do a lot of forging. Enough, Mr. Blue. What did I tell you? I do a lot of forging. I make a lot of knives and a lot of hatchets and stuff. Um, that's kind of half of my bread and butter. My other half is like leather. So I buy a lot of steel, steel blanks and things to work with. Excuse me. A lot of steel blanks and stuff to work with, and then I'll forge weld that into a new blank based off of what I require at that time, depending on the object I'm making. And you really you get a chance to work out the impurities. Now that's on a small scale. It's not through a foundry so much where they take
Right.
a ton. So you get to really bash out those impurities and really fine tune your meal. But they've got so many steels right now that are very, what do you call it? Designer steels, right? And so you can get like everything from O2 teal, O1 and O2 tool steel to like, 51C, a higher carbon content, or, all the way to stainless, all these other things in between. This one, this blade's a little bit brutal looking right now because I haven't really taken care of it. I've been testing it, but this is out of a tool steel, and this thing has been hardened to a Rockwell of about 57, 58, and I've got the design is pretty much perfect now. I mean, she is nice and soft in the center and hard on the edge, and that's a blending of different steels into one. And it's when it comes to steel, I mean, you've got to be careful because, like you said, there is a lot of bullshit steel out there. But depending on what your end product or end use is, you can really refine it. So, Jason Fraser, our family are blacksmiths from South Shore. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a skill. It's a learned skill to really pay attention to the details of what the metals are and what they do and what they're good for. Which ones are easy to use and which ones are harder to use. Now, mind you, that's not when it comes to the automobile industry. I have no fucking clue what
plastic now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little different in its application, but I do actual forging versus stock removal. So stock removal is where you just go and get a piece of metal and you fucking grind it up and sharpen it. That's a little different. Half the time you don't know what the fucking metal is. It's better when you actually get to work with it. So how's your day? I mean, this is the patio thing.
Well, this whole on the patio, it started one Friday night back in the summer. I bought myself a little $120 pawn shop laptop, and I was sitting out on my patio cooking one on a Friday, thinking about my politically speaking show on Saturday, and was just working myself up into a rant. So I turned on my laptop and sitting out on the patio, I smoked a doobie. One thing led to another, and it turned into a whole Friday night episode of its own. So here we are. Normally, Normally, I don't entertain guests on the patio, but it's winter
Well,
time, so we change things. I do have
I
two rules on my patio, Gary. I have two rules on my patio, same here online as it is in my backyard. Rule number one, there are no rules. Rule number two, when in doubt, refer to rule number one.
that works. That works. I actually, like I said, I didn't intend to come on. I was just trying to watch the damn show, and I clicked the link, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in the lobby, and he's watching me." Oh, okay. I was trying to make a post. I was trying to make a comment, but I can't figure out where to go to make a comment.
Um, Probably you'd probably have to go to the on the patio group page and more than likely join the group before you can make a comment.
Well, I'm gonna go and do that now if I can find the damn thing. So, how Friday? What did you do today? I mean, fucking, it's you said it's snowing out, so
Well, we
on the
had
patio.
yesterday. We had a little snow overnight. It was just wet and typical Niagara weather, wet and
Yep,
sloppy, and not cold enough to be winter, not warm enough to be spring. Just
gets in
our
your fucking
usual crap, right?
gets on your bones. Some
Yeah.
miserable
Oh,
shit.
I'm
There we
glad.
go. There's yeah, we've been fucking stuck in this cycle of snow for almost 2 weeks now. It's fucking retarded. It's way too early. Way too early. Jason Fraser, we're trying to normalize corruption in our laws. Please prove me wrong. I can't. No, that's absolutely. You know what? Have you read the Protocols of Zion, Duke?
Pardon me?
Have you read the Protocols of Zion?
No.
Okay, for any of you out there, and especially you, Duke, it's full title name, and you can actually download a copy of it online for free. It's actually called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Now, this book was actually wrote off as a hoax, all kinds of speculation, and that may be so, but the time that it was wrote was literally, quite a long time ago. It was 100 and some odd years ago, right? And now they wrote it off as a hoax. It's purported to be a book wrote by these Zionist Jews that want to take over the world. That's what it was sold as. Then it was apparently debunked. Okay, and I look at it and I'm reading it and I'm thinking, Saul Zelensky, you know who he is, or Saul. Well, he wrote basically everything from that fucking book 150, 200 years later in his thesis about, the way to take over a society, which is being practiced by people like Hillary Clinton and Obama and all this shit. Now I look at that and
Well,
cross-reference.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me just stipulate here that Clinton and Obama and Trudeau, we can't point fingers at specific people because it leads the public to think it's one or two people.
Oh,
The
well, it's no, but the thing is, they're not
ideology
actually.
behind what we're experiencing, what we're living, is the New World Order.
Yeah, they're not the perpetrators of this. This is what I keep telling people. Don't be mad at Trudeau. Sure, he's an asshole. Sure, he's a moron. Sure, he's this, that, and the next thing. But he's not the one making these decisions. He's not the one pushing this agenda. And there's bigger things at play. But getting back to the book, everything they said in there is exactly what we're seeing today: normalizing corruption in the laws. Get rid of nation states. Get people addicted to pharmaceuticals, to drugs. Make sex and perversion a standardized, normalized existence. All these things. And so they say the book is like, horseshit, that it's some kind of a fraud or some kind of a hoax. But when you actually look at it and compare what it says, it's fucking creepy on how accurate it is to what we're living today.
I would love to find an online copy of George Orwell's 1984, the movie.
I have it.
Do you think they can it be played online with copyright issues?
Well, there probably is. There probably is, but most of these streaming sites, most of them are illegal, right? And it's not that they're illegal as in anything else, but they don't have the license to broadcast the movies. Netflix, same thing, but they got the licenses. They got that's why they have very selective access to what's on Netflix. But there's lots of sites that stream it online, and you pay whatever $10 a month, and you get unlimited streaming to whatever's on their hard drive. And there's lots of stuff that shows up, lots of stuff. So you can get it.
Yeah, but can I play? It's one thing to be able to say, I've got it on my computer. I want other people to see it. I want other people to understand the meaning and the implications behind the closing phrase in that movie when the lead main character walks out of the programming station and says, I am not a free man, I am a free number. Because that's what we're becoming. Okay? You are
Not
not
becoming,
considered.
not becoming. It's what we have been. We just
Well,
didn't. We've
we
always
are
been.
considered nothing more than numbers by our government. Okay?
Oh yeah.
I can sit here and look back historically on laws that changed and gave us the opportunity to be freestanding citizens, not subjects of the crown, citizens. And it never happened. Our crooked government said, no, that's okay. They don't need to know that. And it carries right on through to today. You're too stupid to know to wear a seatbelt. So we're going to make it so you can't even drive your car without getting screamed at that you're not wearing one, let alone fine the fuck out of you if you don't wear one. You're too stupid to know that you should wear a motorcycle helmet. So we're going to take away your choice of not wearing it because you're just going down the street to the corner store. We're going to take that choice away because you're too fucking stupid. Same with bicycle helmet laws. And people are too stupid to look both ways, so we're going to make crosswalks where they can
I'm
stop
I'm
traffic.
on natural selection.
Yeah,
Why they
I am all in favor of taking the fucking warning labels off of life in general and let the stupid thin themselves out by natural selection.
Here's one right here. If you don't mind, if I can just read one of the protocols. This is protocol number 21. Internal loans, debt and taxes, conversions, bankruptcy, savings, banks and rents, abolition of money markets, regulation of industrial values. To what I reported to you at the last meeting, I shall now add to a detailed explanation of internal loans and foreign loans. I shall say nothing more because they have fed us with the national monies of the Goyim. But for our state, there will be no foreigners. That is nothing external. So it's basically talking about how we're going to create this debt system, but internally we're going to use the gold standard, right? We have taken advantage of the venality of administrators and the politicians, and the slackness of rulers to get our monies twice, thrice, and more times over by lending to the Goy governments monies which were not all indeed or not all needed by the states. Could anyone do like in regard to us? No. Therefore, I shall only deal with the details of internal loans. And it goes on and talks about how it creates this debt concept for the people through the governments that doesn't actually exist, right? And we actually pay them for the privilege of this fucking debt, which is awesome. You go to the bank, you open an account, you charge $15 a month to use your own money. That's fucking awesome. I mean, from a business perspective or even a con man's perspective, that's fucking brilliant. That's just amazing. But we see it. We see this shit happening. You were talking about with the steel industry, how we regulate these, how with the license laws for helmets or seatbelts, and people wonder why we're in the mess we're in. It's just utterly amazing.
Yeah,
Utterly amazing.
because we sit back and let our dictators prove to us that they're right and we're fucking stupid. Okay? It's been going on since the end of World War II in a major serious
Christ was. It's been going on since Christ was a corporal. Just the faces have changed.
Yes, the only difference is the curtain that they hide behind.
They adapt, you know. But you really think about it, there's literally just hundreds of them. That's it. You know what I mean? Of the main players, there's just hundreds of them. You know, maybe 1,000. But
No,
6.5 on the planet.
well, yeah, maybe if you include bankers and governments, 1,000.
But they're even a lot of them are extensions of it. They're not actually the key players. They're just
Yeah,
guys that got out of position. You know what I mean?
yep, yep.
And and
Harper was part of it.
yeah, he was a cog. He wasn't the main guy. He
No,
wasn't
he
the dis-
wasn't even a wheel. He was just a cog in the wheel. That's what Trudeau is. That's what Scheer
exactly. That's what
is. And
and
Jagmeet Singh is the Sikh takeover of our country that started with the removal of the Mounties' proper uniform in place of the turban. That was the
Jagman,
decolonization of Canada. That was it right there. That's when it officially, publicly started. That's when our Canadian government said, Canada doesn't matter worth shit. Turbans are more important than Canadian tradition. And that was when the fatal blow to our country, that's when the knife went in. And all they've been doing since then is wiggling it up and down to slowly saw through the jugular vein.
Jagman's nothing more than a fucking Sikh terrorist himself. And this seems to be the
Well, that's
flavor.
why he's not allowed back in his own country.
That's right. That's right. And this seems to be the flavor of the day, especially in Canada. And my thing is this: we rant, we rave, we bitch, and we complain, and we talk about it, and we discuss it, and we argue it, and all this on Facebook and other social media. Eventually, the pendulum is going to swing, and it's going to swing the other way.
Oh,
And
oh, it's going to swing.
my fear is that
If it's swinging in the States, it's going to swing hard, fast, and far.
my fear is that you're going to see everyday average Joes that normally wouldn't take a certain stance, not just take that stance, but go overboard because of their fucking, their insecurities and their fears. And it's going to be so miserably bloody, so miserably fucking horrible that we're going to see a real bad mess.
I'll tell you right now, the main fight is not going to be between NDP and liberal socialist Canadians and Scheer and Maxime Bernier conservative right wing Canadians. I'll tell you where the battle's going to be. There may be other issues going on, but the battle is going to be between freedom and Islam. It's going to be between good and evil, plain and simple.
All through history, you've seen when a situation comes to a head, and it's happened many times. Like I said to you before, this is nothing new. We're just repeating the cycle. And when that happens, all that other horse shit, liberal, NDP,
It
conservative,
doesn't matter.
it falls to the wayside. Nobody ever fucking thinks about it. They think about life and winning or losing, you know. And I have this theory that keeps replaying itself and coming to fruition and showing as a truth. They say that the elite they leak the truth to us all the time. They put it in our face. They hide it in plain sight. And one of the
Harper said it live on the radio in Calgary in 2014, I think it was, or 2015, 8 months before the election when Trudeau got elected. He said it on a live radio interview. The government of Canada is a de facto government. And no one paid attention because no one realized
so
what.
no, they did, but it was so outrageous that they just don't believe it.
Yeah, but
They
it's true.
but if you look back in history, see that what they've done, they do it through TV, they do it through movies and radio and TV shows. They leak it out, right? If you look back in the 80s, what was the big thing in the 80s? The big thing in the 80s was like I always feel like somebody's watching me. The whole Big Brother, the whole fucking, and you see today, and we fucking got TV shows around people watching people. Cameras in the streets, cameras in the lights, cameras everywhere.
Yeah,
Where it used to be an outrage.
Reality TV is such a fucking joke. It's making us accustomed to and thinking it's okay, thinking we're going to be the celebrity by having an Alexa in our home. That Generation Alexa 2 will have a camera and you'll be fucking famous on YouTube.
They make it entertaining, so we look at it entertaining, but it's actually more of a surveillance concept, right? It's a tracking. Now you look at and compare it to something else, like the idea of aliens back in the 40s and 50s. You talk about aliens, people will stand out in their field with pitchforks and knives and guns and torches, and now you've got motherfuckers on the roof saying, "Hey, come on down, smoke a joint, let's have a party," and that's not the question whether or not aliens exist or not. That's not my point of that. It's how they use it to kind of switch things around to get you more desensitized to the concepts. Now we're dealing with normalizing terrorism. What do we see happening right now? Terrorists in the government, terrorists in the fucking, you know what I mean? We're gonna forgive them. We're gonna spank them on the wrist and let them go and give them poetry classes, and they keep shifting everything from those concepts that are normally outrageous to acceptable.
Here's what gets me is the number of people in our society who actually believe that fucking bullshit. They actually think you can hug the hate out of a bully. You stupid fucking Mr. Rogers junkies. Wake the fuck up. Mr. Rogers was a fake character on TV. Life
what makes me smile? You know what makes me smile? When these fucking leftists they push that agenda of come here, just give me a hug. You're misunderstood. You're not appreciated. I appreciate you, right? And then they'll go and they'll get challenged to like, okay, well, if this is the way you feel about Islam, go to an Islamic country and do that. So they do. And then when they get there, they get raped and damn near killed. And they're like, holy shit, that's fucked up. And they come back home saying, well, that wasn't very good. We got to stop this shit.
That didn't go as planned.
Holy fuck. It's awesome.
Are you all fucking retarded or what?
I get in trouble because I'll be like, I'll cheer it on. I'll be like, fuck yeah, awesome. I hope they fucking rape me. And they're like, well, that's not very friendly. And I'm like, motherfucker, you knew. You were told. It's like Trudeau. We told you not to vote the motherfucker in.
Yeah.
We learned from his father. You still did it anyway, so now you're upset. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's the same shit because we truly are, whether folks want to fucking admit it or not, we truly are sheep.
Yeah.
We are. And what does sheep do? Sheep are for the slaughter. That's just kind of how it works. Yeah. And eventually you might come into a wolf. And they're far and few between. Jason Fraser, there's more of us in the government who's scared. Every one of yous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we still got the same government and the same system doing the same shit.
Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about was just your comment right there about every one of you are scared. I was going to talk tonight about how I've noticed that attitude that, Duke, you're just hoping for war. Duke, there won't be war. We're gonna get through this without war. Well, you'd be surprised. I'm surprised by the number of people who have, within the past, since I got out of Facebook jail, since the 4th of November, so in the past week and a half or so, since then, I am shocked at the number of people who have had discussions with me and of their own accord, without me raising the issue, come out and said, there's no way around it. War is coming. So people are finally realize that
this is a speculation thing. This is a historical thing. This is what we do as humans, as civilizations. And we are about 350 years overdue.
Yeah.
This is not if, but when.
And what people don't realize is the government has next to nothing. What happened to my cam here? Now my cam's gone for a crap. Okay, well.
Oh, hello, folks. I'm not sure what the hell happened there or where he went. I'm not even sure if you can hear me. Can anybody hear me right now? Oh,
Oh
he's
yes, we
back, I
can hear
think.
you. Yeah, for some reason it dropped it, like it did
Maybe
to
not.
you. You
I
guys
don't
could
know.
see me, but I couldn't see what was going on here. This is obviously a problem with the Be Live system. Be Live is
And
a standalone website.
it's BeLive's gotten really popular, so they got a lot of heavy usage. I think that might be interfering with their bandwidth.
Ah, well, maybe that's it.
That's usually what happens with buffer and stuff like that because there's such a heavy usage that it just can't, the servers can't handle it. So they've got to upgrade their servers or they got to regulate their users.
Yeah,
So, you know,
when I started with them a few months ago, I think they told me I'd have to check my messages, but I think I was like one of the first 2,000 users.
okay, but think about that for a second. 2,000 users in itself, that's a lot of fucking users doing high
That's
bandwidth.
that's a lot of bandwidth. Yeah, and that was months and months ago, right? That was back in early summer when I first started with BeLive. So just
It's,
imagine it's picked up since then. I know people are using it.
I looked at,
Joyce.
when you told me about BeLive and I started looking into it and I looked at some of their analytics and they've got a lot of fucking users, dude. And a lot of users using a lot of live show bandwidth all the time simultaneously. That's the trick, and that's where it gets really expensive. Jason
Yeah.
Fraser, you can say Canadians are scared. True Canadians ain't human scared, only for our children. Well, let me qualify that a little bit, Mr. Fraser. When I say Ollies are scared, I mean it in the simple fact that we all talk a game on Facebook or on places like this, but yet nothing's changed. So maybe you as an individual might not be scared. Maybe Mr. Taylor Murray isn't scared himself, but yet nothing's changed. And sure don't hear about the lone gunman. So, you know, I get a kick out of the guys that are on Facebook saying, why hasn't somebody go and shot fucking Trudeau yet? Motherfucker, you're on Facebook saying it. Go do it. You know,
Yeah.
don't talk about it and expect somebody else to sacrifice themselves so you can have some entertainment. Motherfucker, have the
That,
conviction and go do it.
that was one of my comments months ago. A fucking Canadian sniper can take a guy out from 3 kilometers away, but we can't find a drunken newfie with a pistol to take out Trudeau.
This is because people are scared, whether they admit it or not, whether they say it or not, whether they recognize it or not. That's the fact. I got too much to lose. I got my kids. I got my job. I got my mortgage. I got my fucking whatever.
Well,
You know, and
everybody,
don't get me wrong. I ain't mad about it. I'm just simply saying, Miss Taylor Murray. My bad. Well, Miss Taylor, you have my apologies. Point is that that's not Canadian. It's not what we do. Okay.
no,
And it is about being scared when you break it down to its basics. As a people, Canadians have always been that way.
yeah,
Always. You know, um, that's the difference between America and Canada. Why Americans have so many mass shootings versus Canada. We got just as many guns per capita as America does,
yeah,
but we don't do this because we don't do that. You know what I mean?
it's not the
Uh,
Canadian thing. Now, mind you, I will say this about Canadians. When the time comes and the call is made, they do not hesitate.
in our whole time as a country, we've always been that way. But what does it take to get to that point? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
You know,
we're
we're in
watching,
that we're,
we're
we're in
watching
that
that
teetering,
progression, okay?
we're in
And
that teetering position right now. We're kind of
well,
leaning over, kind of falling back, and kind of leaning over, and it's only
I
going to something major to push it over. You
I
know,
equated it to somebody last week. I explained it to them that we as a society, and when I say as a society, I'm referring to all free societies around the world, okay? Whether it's Germany, England, Australia, Canada, America, all
free
free societies,
society.
okay? We are like a rock falling from an extremely tall building, let's say the Empire State Building. As it's falling, it's accelerating to terminal velocity. Okay. The closer it gets to terminal velocity, the faster it goes. Okay? So when it starts falling, when our country starts falling apart, when our society is being picked apart and destroyed, it's happening very slowly. And by the
It's
time
called
we realize
slow.
it's happening, we're so close to being at terminal speed that we've gone from that 2 miles an hour when you first let go of the rock on the 10th floor of the building to the 70 miles an hour that it's doing right before it hits the sidewalk. Sidewalk impact is tea time when Canadians pick up guns and revolt against an Islamic enemy that is trying to kill us and a treasonous government that is supporting an Islamic enemy that is trying to kill us. And that's what it's going to come down to. The thing that people are being taken by surprise with is that it's happening faster, 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 faster. But that's the terminal velocity. The closer you get to terminal velocity, the faster you get to terminal velocity.
I call it the slow boil. There's an old thing, it's another analogy, and it's about the frog in the pot. And if
Yeah,
you put a frog and drop him into hot water, he jumps out, right? That's just what they do. You put him in a cold pot, a pot of cold water, and slowly turn up the heat, he dies because he actually heats up, warms up, falls asleep, and dies. And that's what's happening right now. And does that mean our outcome is guaranteed to be one or the other? No, absolutely not. We are
no,
always, humans have that right to decide their fate. The thing is that the powers that be have manipulated this system for a long time. They know how it works much better than any of us. They've got it refined and fine tuned to a fucking T. So they know how to needle us. They know how to get somebody and cause a scene to create distraction. We see it in our groups. We see it in society. We see it in politics. We see it in all these things, right? So when we stay distracted and look at stuff and we try to, a big problem is we try to always, because we're the kings and queens of rationalization, we try to change the meaning of shit. You know, we're trying to rechange the definitions. Jason Fraser, I worry more about treasonous Canadians. See, I am very outspoken against people that are treasonous. You know, there's a very clear definition of treason. If you do this, it's treason. If you don't do this, it's not treason. Therefore, you were either treasonous or not based off of the definition. Not my opinion, but off the definition of treason itself. And a lot of people commit treason daily without even realizing it, or definitely without acknowledging it, you know. And even when it's brought forth, they'll deny it. You know, if you approach Trudeau and say he's a treasonous fucker, he'll deny it. He'll know he's a treasonous fucker and lie, but you can take that to somebody else and they will deny it because they just don't know better. We have been dumbed down. That's part of what you've talked about, others have talked about in the past, the dumbing down of society. And that's what happens. When you dumb down a society, you can't use critical thinking. If you can't use critical thinking, you're really not much use. You are what's been labeled by the elite as a useless eater. When common sense is something that you argue against because you just don't get it, and you still think you're right, you are that useless eater. And that's what they want to try to impress upon all of us, you know. And there's a lot of people, like I said, as a result, that commit treason, you know, as a result of this. And
well, I've been telling people since right after the provincial election here in Ontario that you need to make note of all the houses you see with NDP signs in their front lawns, all the houses you see with Liberal signs in their front lawns, all the houses you see supporting unions like Unifor, okay? These big unions, you need to take note of those houses because 1 out of 10 of those is going to be an enemy who comes after you. Not every one of them, but 1 out of 10 is going to be an enemy to the people who will come after you. 1 out of 10 will be the kind of people that attacked Tucker Carlson. 1 out of 10 will be the
well,
kind of people that went after Judge Kavanaugh's house.
Remember, it's not the majority; it's the minority that matters.
Exactly.
You know, it's always been that way, and that's how they try to get around the definition of treason: the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Okay, that is the definition of treason. Period. It's not a debate. It's not an opinion. It is the factual um, definition, the legal jargon
Yep.
term. Okay. Now you can get into what kind of treason. That really changes depending on the country because they all apply their own little flavor twist, right?
Well,
Um, here's a thing. Here's an example of how simple we commit treason without even realizing it. When you vote NDP, that's actually harming Canada, and when you vote to harm Canada, that's treason. It's very simple. So when you vote in support for Trudeau and the Liberals with their policies that harm Canada, you are committing treason against Canada. Period. This is not it's not an opinionated debate. This is just the way it works. If you are a Quebecer and you're voting for independence to separate, that's going to harm Canada. That is treason. If you're voting in Alberta to separate, you're a fucking treasonous cocksucker. No different from Trudeau. So we can argue semantics and we can argue opinions, but it doesn't change the actual definition of what it is. And it's a shame because I have friends that have come out in favor of separation in Alberta, for instance. You know, and some that I feel bad that we, now I had one person try to defend it by saying, well, Alberta's been treated like shit. Well, that's fine. And I'm not debating it or disagreeing with you, but it's still treason. You can't justify treason by saying, well, I was treated badly. I'm sorry. That's not what it's about. So
mommy spanked me.
if people did what they were supposed to, when they were supposed to, we wouldn't have problems. If you look in the Canadian history, when our government was actually working, when Canada was actually a strong, united, awesome country, and it was right up until recently, right? It was because people participated and they did the right things, you know. But when this free thought, free life thing came into play with the liberal left, it's gone downhill as a result, and we commit treason every day. And that's the whole goal of the socialist agenda. You know, we can't take you over militarily because of public perception, because of cost, because of we'll get our ass beat, whatever. So we're going to erode it from the inside by attacking your youth and get them to be fucked up. So when they become adults and run the country, you're fucked up. And they succeed.
So I want to respond to some of the comments here in the chat. First of all, Taylor, where we can get to know each other in case shit hits the fan. Well, the shit's going to hit the fan real soon. And before that, you had said, and we should be forming units in each and every province. Well, back in the summer, I tried to start that, and nobody bothered responding to me except for two guys out of Hamilton, a fellow from Cambridge near London, Ontario, and two guys up near Barrie. And what I had proposed was a very informal network. All you have to bring is the names and phone numbers of 5 people. But those 5 people have to give you 5 phone numbers. So in the end, you have access to 25 people who will have never met you. But when the day comes, you've got 25 phone numbers to call and say, get your ass to so-and-so.
You're giving me the shits.
I'm giving you the shits.
You know where I live. You know sort of the story behind it, a little bit, loosely.
Uh-huh.
For those of you that don't know, I live about 3 hours north of Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is the northernmost city in Ontario, smack dab in the middle of the Boreal Forest.
Yeah.
For a reason. What I do when I'm not doing this stuff is I practice self-reliance. I promote self-reliance and off-grid living and bushcrafting and all these things of these old world skills to be able to succeed should shit collapse. Because it will. It's not an if, but a when. And the idea of forming units and doing all these things, well, that's the more militant, percepted view of it. You know, as we know, it's illegal to form militias in Canada. That's just a federal crime. That's documented. Self-reliance is not much different, except it's completely legal. Learning how to supply your own food when that depot gets turned down. Learning how to hunt, fish, doing all these wonderful downtown Wabaki. Mr. See now, Mr. Ed, of course, knows the area. He knows the area well because he comes up here and likes to kill shit up here. He wanted to do that because it's fun. But with his experience, he knows that there's a nuclear bomb going off in Toronto and we would barely blink up here. We would barely skip a beat. And can it be done? Should it be done? It's being done. The problem is, like so many other things, people don't want to actually do the work. We're building Synthesis Social. Julie's mentioning it again, which is awesome. Thanks, Julie. Synthesis Social, as Duke and others have talked about, is a place for us to get together without the fear of being fucking dictated to by censorship. We do similar things regarding self-reliance, bushcrafting, and all this kind of stuff for that very reason. Because when things come to a head, if you want to actually survive the incident, you want to stay out of the fucking FEMA camps and all this other horse shit, you just don't participate. You fucking leave. You can't die in a gun battle if you're not shooting back, you know? And trust me, as Ed knows, to get up here is not an easy chore, even during the best of times. You know,
if you're not flying up, the only way you're getting up there is in the winter.
Well, there is a highway that comes here and literally ends on the street that my road is on. But no, I mean, people even in Thunder Bay don't know where we are, you know, and it's a long, boring drive through trees. So you got to cross two bridges. Either one of those bridges are taken out, you're done. You're not getting up here. You know, you're not going off road and you can't drive through the bush. You can't drive through, you know what I mean? Like you just can't get here unless you actually mean to get here. I've met one
passing through.
There was a guy that was delivering some windows and somehow he wound up here and he was lost. And he's like, I don't even know where the fuck I am. It's not on the GPS. And I'm supposed to be in Ottawa. And I was like, well, dude, you really fucked up. You drove 3 hours away and now you got to drive 3 hours back. So you just killed 7 hours of your day to come here. There's, you know, there's this used to be a town built around a military base. This is Ojibwe Cree territory. So there's nothing here. You know what I mean? They built a town around the military base. The base closed in 1974. So the town never really expanded, right? Now, the great thing about it is it's out of the fallout zone. So any kind of major crisis, we're probably pretty much safe. As Ed knows, I can walk out my back door and hit a different lake every day of the year and never hit the same one twice. There's so many lakes up here that there's lakes that have never been fished in because the locals were not crawling through the bush to get to a lake when we can go to that lake right there and do the same motherfucking thing. You know, and it's like a veritable garden. It's a grocery store. So you can survive up here. People have been doing it for hundreds of years, you know, without the assistance of the government.
Well,
so when she says build these connections, it's one thing to build a connection, but where are you going to go?
Yeah,
you're going to take over the Walmart in Hamilton, you know, because nobody else has that idea, right? Oh well, I'm going to go to the national park. I'm going to go to Algonquin because nobody's thought of that. Now they got you cornered. Fuck it, yeah, go to Algonquin. Now we'll just surround you and just fucking close in, you know.
And,
by the time
if I can interrupt, if you don't think they will surround you, ask the natives in BC or the natives at Oka. Okay. By the way, both of those instances where the Canadian government used the military against natives, against Canadians at Oka over bringing cigarettes across the border, that was constitutionally illegal. The government cannot legally use Canadian military against to enforce laws or regulations against the Canadian citizens.
Here's my thing. If you're not doing, well, Ed just brought up something. Seeds will be the currency. Well, seeds will be important, yes. But a lot of people in the prepping community, for instance, get seeds. There's all kinds of vendors selling seed vaults, this and that. If you're not doing this shit now, don't think you're just going to switch and do it and all of a sudden be proficient when it does require. I know people that have seeds and they don't know how to grow a plant. You don't just throw a seed in and have a fucking tomato crop up. It doesn't work like that. You know, it takes cultivating the ground. It takes doing these things. It's learned skills. I mean, Ed, you've got a history with moose hunting and bear hunting and such. Could you imagine somebody from fucking downtown Toronto and fucking Boys Town suddenly saying, well, I'm fucking hungry. I better go kill something. Throw him out there with a fucking rifle that he's never fired before and expect to get a fucking moose. You know, chances of that happening are very, very slim. In fact, you'll probably
People don't realize it, Gary. They see pictures of empty grocery stores in Venezuela. They don't realize that when the euro collapses sometime in the next 24 months or less, more than likely 12 to 18 maximum, when the euro collapses within 90 to 120 days, 3 to 6 months after that, international financial collapse will happen. Depression 1929 all over again. What we saw in Venezuela will be your local no frills in downtown Toronto. Apartment buildings of people will be cannibalize each other because they're starving to death. They'll be eating
don't even go
dogs.
that far. See, you're looking at the extreme end of the spectrum. Just look at Black Friday sales at Walmart and fucking electronic stores and see how people feel. Okay. And the thing is, see, a little more insight to my personal life. Living off the grid, the only thing I've got online on the grid is the internet, right? And that's for common sense and fucking research and communications. But outside of that, I'm off grid. So that means I produce my own food, I produce my own water, I produce my own whatever, my own power, right? For the most part. Now, here's the thing. I cook and heat with wood exclusively. For me to go and do it on my own, this whole lone wolf mentality bullshit, let me tell you something. Lone wolves, they die fast and hard. Wolves run in packs for a reason, okay?
Yeah.
I spend at least an hour a day, pretty much all year round, processing wood. Because if I don't have that wood, I don't eat and I don't heat myself. And in winters up here, it gets fucking cold as balls. So I run that stove constantly. It's a lot like living in the old days where you needed to do actual work. Okay. And that work takes a certain amount of time to do. So as I'm spending 2 or 3 hours in the winter processing wood, managing that fire, and I still got to do everything else. Make my food, go hunting, go fishing, do whatever. That takes hours. If I have a bad day, you know, so this idea of magically popping up at the end of the world and just kind of surviving is just such horseshit. If you don't connect with others of like mind now and practice these skills, learn these skills now, you're fucking done. You may as well reach for the rope.
Now,
You know?
just to put things in perspective here for everybody watching this now and watching it later, Gary didn't grow up in the bush. Gary didn't grow up within hundreds of miles from civilization. He grew up within about 15, not even 10, 5 miles from where I live. He grew up here in Niagara. He grew up in suburbia.
Toronto and fucking Newmarket and, you know,
Yeah.
Niagara. But the point is that it's a learned thing. Anybody can do it.
That's
And
what I'm getting
you have to do it now before they take that away from you. If you think that, here's a question for you, Duke. You drive, yeah?
Yeah.
You ever notice in the last 10 years, because it started happening before I came up here, They started doing things to the highway. They started building median dividers. They started putting gates on the off ramps. They started doing all these things that really just didn't exist before. There's a reason for it. It's called corral. They corral people. Corralling. It's to corral people in. If your only exit is this one where the gate's the only one open, the mass is congealed up and congested up, and now they got you, right? You're going like the cattle coming from the yard into the slaughter line through that little narrow hallway, right? That's the design. So the point is that when something major happens and you're all running, because nobody else is going to think of that, right? You're going to be caught up in this congested area that they've got already fucking put around, okay? And if you think that you can just magically drive with a load full of car and you're going to be okay, well, I hate to break it to you, that's probably not going to work out very well for you in the end. So when Taylor said, we got to make these communities, we got to do these things, you hear Waco. Waco, great idea. Let's go start a community. We will keep to ourselves, do our thing. In the end, everybody was distrustful because they didn't know about you. You keep to yourself and they were scared and they fucking killed you. However, in Canada, we're unique in this way. This area here, as Ed knows, it's a dying area. It's got the infrastructure, and it's a private infrastructure. It's not even plugged into the grid of the province. It's a self-contained grid from the base. They just co-opted it after the base closed. People die here, and their house sits empty because nobody's trying to rush up here and move because, well, what do I do for work? What do I do for my family? What do I do for school? What do I do for this? Which means that things go cheap up here. As you slowly replace that community that's dying with new, fresh blood of people that are like-minded, you're not causing any problems. The government's not looking at you funny because you're just choosing to go live in a place that nobody wants to be. You know what I mean? You're not creating this fucking village in the middle of the bush that nobody can see. Which
village is already there.
It's not, everything's here. So now you can choose to live as self-reliant as you want, or even plug into the local network as you want without raising an eyebrow. So now you've got Duke who says, well, I can't afford a house. Fuck, my house in Niagara is fucking 350 grand. Well, that same 3-bedroom house is $2,200 up here. So he may not buy it, live in it. He might buy it to spend a week or two in the summertime, 2 or 3 times a year, use it as a vacation resort, a family retreat. But come crisis, he's now got a place to go. And now if Duke does that, and Ed does that, and Jason does that, and Taylor does that, and you build off of the resources of each other. You know, Jason's family, I believe he said, was a bunch of blacksmiths. So now they can make pretty much anything from recycled metal by banging it out, making it good again. And Taylor, maybe she's a baker delight. She makes fucking the best pies and bread around. She can do it from scratch. She can do it in a fucking coal-fired oven. You know, you're capitalizing off of each other's skills. You don't want to be the one doing everything. You will burn out and you will die. I've had days where I just laid in bed and said, you know what, I'm done. Fuck it. I ain't doing shit today. I woke up with frost in my balls because I knew that I should have got up and put wood on my fire. And I didn't because I was too fucking warm, cozy, and lazy. Next morning, I got up and I was like, holy Christ. I probably should have got up and put wood in the fire. Guess what doesn't happen anymore? I don't let my fire go out. You know? So you become adapt and you learn and you grow. And as you grow as a community, as a group of people that are like-minded, you know, I don't like fishing. I like to hunt. Ed likes to fish. Ed likes to hunt. But if Ed goes out and does well fishing, I don't got to worry about it because I just went out and did well hunting. And now we've got everything we need. You see what I'm saying? You build off of each other's strengths. You know, stop trying to compete against each other and work together. Jason Fraser, if you can grow your food and chickens or dairy, government stuff is stomped up. This is what I'm trying to say. You want to defeat the government? You really want to defeat the government? Just don't fucking participate.
Stop playing their game.
Stop paying them to fuck you in the ass. Do you know why they make things hard? Because they don't want people to be self-reliant. They control the food because they know that you can't grow a tomato now. You can't make your own steak. You got to go to them or through one of their licensed people, the grocery stores. But if you didn't have to go there, how much better would your life be if you went out to the backyard and got your eggs? You killed the motherfucker when it stopped laying eggs and ate the motherfucker with some French fries. They take that away and they make it so it's uncommon. Where your grandparents, see, people call preppers crazy, for instance. At one time, it was called common sense living. Your grandma's, she canned, she sewed, she recycled stuff. Your grandpa
raised chickens in the backyard.
Yes. And that was the time when Canada was great because people were self-reliant. They were less dependent upon the government for goddamn everything, so goddamn always. Instead, they produced and did it for themselves. Don't ask for help. Do it yourself. Now we call them crazy because we become reliant upon these things. We've become reliant upon the McDonald's and the fucking Harveys and the fucking whatever, to the point where people are so stupid they think, well, why don't they just go buy a steak in the store instead of killing that poor cow?
Well, where the fuck do you think the steak came from, you idiot?
The fact that people actually think that is the problem. That's how far it's gone, right? And if we do these things and just say fuck it, I'm not participating. I'm not going to pay income tax. I'm not going to create an income. So therefore I don't legally have to pay income tax. If I want something, if I want a loaf of bread, I can go tomorrow and say to George, the guy that runs the shop down the way, George, I need some bread. You show me your driveway. No skill, no nothing, just something simple like that. I can get some bread. If I need money right now, I can chop some trees and deliver it to somebody's house. Firewood. There's a guy that came up here. He was here his last year, the year I moved up. This kid was 26 when he left. In that 10 years, from a 16-year-old kid to 26, he made 7 figures chopping wood because everybody was so fucking lazy that they just bought it off of him. He took his money and ran, went down to Mexico. Last I heard, he got arrested in Mexico for dope, but whatever. The point is, he wasn't the brightest guy, but even he could do it. It's not, the thing is, it takes effort, and that's what people don't want. They want that convenience. The government instilled. That's what
Gary, it's not that so many of them don't want it. It's that they don't even know it. They've never experienced it. It's been programmed out of their lives.
That's no. That is a big part of it. Jason just said we grew up on cold cellars. Motherfucking rights.
Yeah.
I've got canned chicken from my first year up here still, in a mason jar. It's still good. I actually had some tonight with some quesadillas. Quesadillas where I made the tortilla on my fucking wood stove using the chicken that I canned back then because I've got a whole boatload of it. And you can do it. You can do it. Anybody can. And if you really, like I said, if you really want to stop the government, that's how you do it. Vote with your motherfucking dollar.
Yeah, just stop playing their game. That's all.
Stop playing it. When the new iPhone comes out, don't envy the fucking iPhone, motherfucker. Your old fucking phone, it still works. Why do you want to commit another fucking? What's the iPhone X go for? $1,600 or some bullshit like that? Like, what the fuck is that? The school needs to train men to survive instead of train. No, well, the school needs to stop making men into fucking women. Beta cucks and fucking get back the alpha mentality. Some people believe that I'm overbearing sometimes. Can you imagine that, Mr. Willis? I'm overbearing. Well, the problem is I'm an all grunt.
You can talk more than Mike Traherne, and that's saying something.
I'm not even going to go on that topic right now. I'm an all grunt.
Got you, motherfucker. And welcome to the patio.
I grew up in a rough motherfucking way. My life has always been a rough motherfucking life. And I'm confident in my skills because of this. I grow and I learn. So when I meet somebody that's got something to offer, they don't tell me I'm wrong. They show me how I'm wrong. And then I adapt their philosophy and strengthen my philosophy. Well, that gives me more confidence to realize that I'm fucking right. And I don't speak on shit I don't know because I don't know. So what people mistake as being overbearing is just confidence. What people mistake as being, intimidating or whatever is that alpha mentality that just is a natural thing, you know. And I'm blunt and I'm honest and I don't give a fuck about your feelings.
Yeah.
You know, did I ever tell you about my 3 rules?
Your 3 rules? No, I told you my 2 rules for the patio. What are your 3 rules?
It's actually called the 3 rule.
Oh, okay.
And the 3 rule is simple and it's something that everybody really should adopt. Um, you're either paying my bills,
Oh, yes.
putting
Yes.
food on my table, or sucking my dick. If you're not doing one of those 3 things, I have absolutely no reason to pay attention to you. So if I do pay attention to you, it's because I respect you or the things you have to say. Outside of that, I absolutely have no reason to. Now, if I don't pay attention to my old lady, guess what she stops doing? You know what I mean? So I need to know who I need to pay attention to and who not to. So in my life, because I have the courage of my conviction and the way I feel about things, if I have you in my circle in my life, if I'm communicating with you, it's because I like you as a person. I like the things you have to say, the thoughts that you share, the way that you share them. Not because I have to listen to you, not because I'm obligated to hear you. Because trust me, those that know me know if I don't want to hear you, I'll let you know I don't want to hear you. And I do it pretty quick and blunt, you know. So that way there's no misinterpretation. And no, Julie, I didn't misinterpret. So that's a very simplistic, as crass as it is, and that's usually what the big problem with people have with me is how crass I tend to be, and that's by design, actually, if you want to know the truth, because my philosophy is this: if you can't get by my words to get to the message, then you're not fucking paying attention, and if you're not paying attention, then fuck you, fuck your feelings. I don't care. I want people around me that's going to make me better. I want a country around me that's going to make me better. I want people that are going to challenge me to grow. And if you can't do that, then what the motherfuck do you think you need to even be around me for? Because we won't get along.
If you can't handle reality and truth, don't come near me.
Mr. Gemsack,
I seen
how
your.
are you tonight?
Hey guys, good evening. I seen your friends tonight.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Can you see this?
Yeah. You know what the PC stands for to me?
Go ahead.
Practically cucks.
Would you believe Antifas were protesting at the Tory at the convention, the provincial election? Sorry, at the provincial. They had an event tonight, celebration party, and they're also voting in their new people.
John
The people behind
Absolutely,
the scenes.
John. Yeah, well, Antifa and Antifa-minded folks. Did you hear about the Antifa rally down in Oregon? They actually protested themselves. It was an Antifa rally, and Antifa showed up to protest it. How fucked up is that? That tells you the kind of fucking people that participate in those kinds of horseshit. I mean, it's just nothing surprised me with those cocksuckers anymore. Fuck them. They're not paying my bills. They're not putting food on my table, and they certainly aren't doing that. Mind you, I've seen a few that I think should do all 3, actually, but they're not. So I just don't pay attention to them.
Well, they'll be the first ones to starve when the shit hits the fan.
Absolutely. And I'm integrated to a lot of the self-reliant community, a lot of the prepper community. In fact, there's a lot of our members that have been on shows like Alone, Naked and Afraid, things like that. Do this. This is what they do for a living. This is their lifestyle. This is, for me, it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. For that reason, because I want to make sure that I know what I'm getting into come crisis. And I think That's one thing that we all share, no matter what we think the crisis is going to be. We all know that there's a crisis coming, and it's going to be bad. And you're not going to just trip down to the fucking grocery store and get your fucking Twinkies and ding dongs and fucking God knows what else they fucking eat. You know,
Yeah, that was something I wanted to comment on, Gary. When you said people think about moving up to where you're living, and the first thing they say is, "Well, what am I going to do for work? What are my kids going to do for school?" A, you don't need work because there's nowhere to spend any fucking money. Even if you do have a job, there ain't no stores or anything there to buy.
we got a store, motherfucker. Don't be racist, you fucking Islamophobic
Oh,
ass.
all right, all right. So you get a 6-pack of Coke in the winter when the fucking road.
And what are you going to buy this Coke with? How's the Coke going to get up there when the
Buttons.
shit's the fan?
Buttons.
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 No,
And hugs.
And as for your kids
Lots of hugs.
school, it's called homeschooling. The things they need
Absolutely.
to learn is how to kill a duck, how to kill a deer, how to catch a rabbit, skin it.
We actually have a pretty vibrant.
So they can have it and eat it.
Homeschooling is looked at as being weird, but you know what? You look at your GAD, your GED, that's homeschooling. You look at your online courses, that's homeschooling.
Yeah.
It's not a big thing anymore. And we got a vibrant homeschool community up here. But what about the skills to live? How many of you can actually sharpen a knife or an axe? How many of you can?
I can.
Can you skin a deer?
Yep.
You know, how many can say that though?
I know.
You know, that used to be ingrained into fucking 7-year-olds back in the day. You know, it's just simple things like that. And
how many people can take a hemp plant and produce clothing?
Yeah.
This garment I'm wearing right here, this is my design. I made this. This is actually my custom camo. I made this. Those are skills that you have to learn. And I learned for a reason. Can I transfer hemp into cloth? I know how to make it out of flax, and it's a very similar process.
Yeah.
Would I do it? Probably. You know, could I grow enough hemp up here? Absolutely. You know what it's like up here. You throw seeds in the ground and motherfucker is popping up everywhere. You know.
We have another guest wanting to come on. Brand new guest. I don't know where he's from. His name is Adolfo. So I'm going to bring him on here. Everybody say hello to him.
Hello, Adolfo.
Hey, what's
Hi,
up?
Adolfo.
There he is. Hi, Adolfo. How are you?
Good. You?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Montreal.
From Montreal.
You have
Montreal, Quebec.
my condolences.
Give my cigarette. Took my cigarette.
I love Montreal.
It's a good city. It's not what it used to be.
No, I remember back in the day we used to spend a lot of time on Saint Laurent and St. Catherine and get all fucked up and go home. You know, it was great.
Super sex.
I was working on a Canadian Tire once on the west side of Montreal. I think Laval, possibly,
That's where I am from, Laval. Yeah.
or is it LaSalle?
LaSalle,
Yeah.
and Trois-Rivières.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but people
that's
are telling
far.
me, oh, you're coming from Ontario to work in Quebec. Are you out of your mind? I'm there. Well, non-union job. You know, we do renovation work at Canadian Tires, and yeah, but they say they're going to jump you. They're going to beat you up. They're going to steal your truck.
No.
No,
Hey,
man.
Adolfo, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
People are so nice.
You got a pretty mouth. I get that. And I love your beard, but can you actually raise your camera so I can see your eyes?
Oh, my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see if they match the rest of you.
There we go. There's his face.
Oh, there.
Thank
Yeah.
It was kind of creeping me out actually, just seeing the lips moving. Like,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Sorry.
It was kind of like watching Max Headroom.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, back in those days, talking 20 years ago, people are so nice and polite, and they speak French to you, and I'd say, I'm sorry, I only speak a few words of French, and bang, right in English. How's it going? Where are you from? Seen the Ontario plates. You need any help with that? Stand. People are so nice. And I think most.
But that was
Quebecers-
coast to coast, though, Ed. That really was coast to coast at one time in Canada.
Yeah. I think it
It's
still
just
is.
It still is here. It's not that bad. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know about all areas, but I know lots of areas that you can't even barely ask somebody for the time without them giving you a stink eye.
it depends who you catch, but it's not. I mean, they won't speak English. That's for sure. If you ask them in English, they'll answer you in French. I was
Yeah.
walking. I was walking my dog the other night, and a French guy tells me, "Don't walk your dog on my lawn." So I said, "What the fuck? I mean, he's not doing anything. He's just walking." He said, "Go back to your fucking country." He tells me. I go, "This is my
What,
country, huh?"
what country is that?
I don't know. He told me, "Go back to your country." I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have a beard. He thought I was a Muslim or something. I don't know.
Ah, well.
Stupid. But they don't like Muslims either.
Yeah, but Adolfo, isn't that like that would be Italian if anything, yeah?
Yeah,
Or
Italian.
maybe Spanish?
No, Italian. Italian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's
I mean,
German actually, but I'm Italian.
can you tell us what happened provincially? You guys got a new unknown.
Yeah, the CAC one. I voted for them.
What's their party? What's their platform in Ontario?
Anti-immigration.
Nothing.
That's why I voted for them. No hijabs in the workplace.
yeah, I saw that on the legislation. It's causing a lot of
Just the cross is allowed. That's it. And that's the only reason why I voted for them, man. I'm sick of this fucking Muslim bullshit. I swear to God, man.
So,
Give them a-
oh,
Can I address that for a second? Because I do want to make a stance clear on something. I don't think that the average Canadian, and I might be wrong, but I think this might even apply to you, Adolfo. Canadians aren't anti-Islamic or anti-immigration. Okay, we have had Muslims in Canada for a long time. What we don't want is Islamic integration by force, without choice, by taking the worst of the worst to bring them in and skip over the best of the best that might contribute.
But that's what's happening.
That's
I mean,
right, and that's
okay.
in the government. They're all over.
that's what we're against.
We have a
You know-
Muslim immigration minister. Do you realize that? A Muslim
absolutely.
immigration minister.
Absolutely, I was almost charged with a hate crime for fucking calling him a terrorist.
Crazy.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but I think that if we get down to the root core, it's not so much the immigrant in itself as much as the position of where before somebody would come to Canada and become Canadian. Now it's somebody comes to Canada and brings their country with them.
Well, there you
No.
go.
Okay, I'm going to share with everyone a conversation that I had with a friend of mine here in St. Catharines who happens to be an Islamic apostate. He has left Islam and he's now a Christian. He was born in Palestine, grew up in Palestine, less than 10 clicks from the Israeli border. He left Palestine when he was 31 and he's now 48. So he's been a Christian here in Canada for over a decade, almost 2 decades. Okay. He was going to do a live interview with me. I was going to have him off cam, just answering questions. And he refused. His family actually asked him to refuse to do the interview because they fear for their life from Islam. And
100%.
I have many times discussed the problem with Islam in Canada and how it can be dealt with. And this was back last spring when I was running for provincial government. I took the moderate approach. Okay. I said to him, moderate Muslims aren't the problem. And he smiled at me. I said, Islamists are the problem. And he said, no, you don't understand. You let a moderate Muslim live in Canada. His son grows up to be a moderate Muslim who knows about the book of the Salah, who knows about Sunni side of Islam, who knows about the Muslim Brotherhood, who accesses information about the Brotherhood online. And that son has a son. And 3 generations from now, our grandchildren are fighting the very same Islamist ideology that we are fighting now. A former Muslim from Palestine told me the truth. Islam cannot exist where freedom exists. It must be removed
That is
from Canada.
that is the tenets of Islam, and that's the problem. So when they bring an Islamist or a Muslim to Canada and they allow them to push the Islamic belief system,
That's
that's contradictory.
where you're wrong, Jerry. It's not pushing the Islamist belief. It is Islam. Islam is
Yes, exactly. No, I'm agreeing with
you. You can't allow
I'm agreeing with you on
aspect of Islam in a free society. Plain and simple.
No,
I'm agreeing with you. That's the whole definition of Islam is submission. It is not conducive with Western society. Period.
that's right. So we
But
can't
when
have, can't have.
that's right, and I completely agree with that. My issue, it's not the Muslim himself; it's his belief system.
It's I agree.
It's
Not
Islam.
the man. It's what the man believes. So guess what?
That's right.
It's not the wine. It's not the bottle. It's not the glass bottle. It's the wine inside it. Well, I'm sorry, you can't get rid of the wine without getting rid of the bottle. Okay? Because
My
the bottle,
point is,
somebody will come along and refill that bottle with more wine eventually. You need to get rid
and
of.
that's why we need to tackle the actual tenets of Islam in itself instead of the person.
You're not going to.
You see what I'm saying?
You're not going to modify Islam. You're not going to modernize.
I don't want to modify Islam. In fact, I would like to abolish completely.
Yes.
But did you know there was a time in Canadian history and American history where Islam was banned? It was outlawed. Do you know that?
Yeah,
Yep.
1956.
That law still stands on the American.
It does.
Sorry, Ed,
It
go
does.
Ed, Ed, go ahead.
We need to use the tools that exist to combat Islam.
Okay.
Not what we do now.
I want to just change the subject a little bit here because Adolfo is new to our group. He's never been a guest on any of my shows before, so I'd like to give him a chance to speak. And I would like to ask him, because we have yet to have someone from Montreal on the show to tell us firsthand, citizen journalist type thing, what is the general consensus in Quebec or in particular in Montreal?
Correction, Duke. Jean-Pierre, 4 hours.
Jean-Pierre, you're right. You're right. I forgot about Jean-Pierre.
Well, we blew out the Liberals in the last election. I mean, that tells me something. The only reason why you won is for the people don't want the immigrants here. The French, I tell you one thing about the French. They don't want it. They don't like the English, but they don't like Islamists either. They don't. They don't want to lose their culture here. More than anywhere else in Canada.
Because I've joked with people that Quebecers don't want English people. What the fuck makes you think they want Arabic-speaking people?
No, Quebecers want English people. That's gone. That's finished. Finished, though. When that talk of separation is over. They're sick of this Islamist bullshit. That's what they're sick of now. And they feel threatened by them because they're going to take away their values of life. Quebecers, they're very Christian people, man. They're more than you think. More than you think.
No, I know. I personally know that religion, especially Christianity, is very important to the French and Quebecers.
In the outskirts, Montreal, okay, in the outskirts, they're really religious, man, I'm telling you.
Every town is built around two churches.
Yeah.
Now, how about the Haitians? There's a lot of Haitians coming into Quebec.
Yeah, but they're Christian. I mean, they have gangs and they're involved in crime, but they're not gonna blow up a fucking, they're not gonna blow up people for nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, crime is always gonna be there. I mean, they do drugs and whatever they do in their communities, but it's amongst themselves, man. You're not gonna be walking on a sidewalk and a fucking bomb goes off, like in Toronto there. The guy starts shooting he kills women in a Greek restaurant. What the fuck is that? And the
That's
government,
That's called training society. That's what that's called.
and everybody's sleeping. Everybody knows that's a terrorist attack, and nobody says anything.
No, they
And the
do.
more they happen, the more you're going to see them called mental illness. Why? Because it's how the government feeds propaganda to program your brain
That's right.
to not see reality.
That's right.
Well, they make a video game out of it. Look at Grand
I'll
Theft
tell
Auto.
you one thing: if Donald Trump loses that election 2 years ago, we're all fucked. He's the only guy that's gonna save Western civilization. I tell you, man, the only guy. The guy is, I can't believe what he does. He's a god. He's the only guy trying to save Western civilization.
Guys, you go ahead and talk for a minute. I got to go grab a bottle of water.
While you're doing that, then I'm going to respond to Adolfo. Why do we need to have Donald Trump save Western society? Why don't we do it?
He's the only
Why
one.
don't we save ourselves? Stop looking for a fucking white knight. Stop looking for a hero. Be the hero.
We can't do it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stop them from coming in? We can't do it. We can't do it.
You can. Maybe on your own you cannot, but you can, and Ed can, and I can, and if we stand together, that's pretty hard. You got any pencils handy?
Yeah, a pen. Yeah.
We're gonna do an experiment live on TV here. Grab your pencil.
Pencil. Give me a pencil.
Ed, you grab one too, please.
mine's mechanical, so
Well, grab something else then, something cheap that you don't mind because you're gonna break it.
fuck.
It's a pen. What do we mean?
Is it a cheap pen?
Yeah, it's cheap pen.
All right. Take your pen and go like this.
I don't think I can do that with this one.
Oh, do it on camera. Don't do it off camera. Do it on camera.
I got a piece of cardboard, okay?
Okay. Now grab two pieces and put it together and try to do the same thing.
Okay, it's stronger, yeah.
Grab 5 pieces and put it together. I'll bet you can't break it now.
Too small.
That's right. Life has always been about one thing when it comes to literally war and politics and economics and everything. You have strength in numbers. Period. That'll never change. Okay? And when you do things together, when you take that stance together, you don't need to fucking look for a white knight or a fucking hero. Be the motherfucking hero. Show and be the example you want to change and connect with others instead of being what society has taught us to be fearful of each other, to distrust each other, to ignore each other. You know, don't buy into that bullshit. Understand that you have strength in numbers. You guys did it in Quebec. That's how CAC came into fucking power.
That's right.
Together, and it won. Now imagine if there was 1,000 CACs in fucking Canada.
Well, Rob Ford did it in Ontario too.
Okay, so what we've seen in a lot of these movements, especially in the conservative or the patriotic community, is we've got a personality that tries to get everybody in Canada to join their group to become all whatever, right? Instead, go connect with those 2 dudes that you actually know physically, offline. You guy down the way, the guy you go drinking with, the guy you go shoot pool with, and connect with them. So now you got 3, right? Remember, we just did that 1 to 3. It was harder to break. You challenge them to go get 2 people. Now you got 5. And eventually you got the masses. But you do it on a personal level where now you don't have to sell them rhetoric. You don't have to sell them logic because they already connect with you. If I say, I can make a mean ass burger, some great poutine, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But I know this guy over here and I've already ate his shit. It's good. You know what I mean? That's just human nature. It's the
Also,
same.
what's concerning is I've heard that they Canada signed that UN thing that by 2030 they want to bring in I don't know how many millions of people here.
But they wanted to do that anyways.
Yeah.
2030, the target is 100 million people in Canada.
How's that possible?
Easy.
You're having problems in Ontario with 50,000 of in hotel rooms.
You bring in 25 million, they fuck like rabbits, pump out 8 kids each, and bomb. You got 100 million people.
And what is Scheer? Who am I supposed to vote for? Scheer. Is Scheer a globalist? Is he going to vote for this, or I don't know?
Well,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you vote for, and
you're
the
talking
whole
about
UN resolution thing. That's a joke anyhow, because we're not going to make it probably less than 2 years, and we're going to have blood on the streets and war
Right.
in every city in Canada.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
the 2030 resolution
we're
is
getting to that
meaningless.
now. We're getting to that now when you see people that are committing these atrocities, like driving a van down Yonge Street and mowing people
But
over.
nobody says anything when they do it.
They do. Lots of people see it. You see it every day on Facebook. I still see people talk about the van incident on Toronto on Facebook. That's the problem. Is that that's all we do is talk about it.
But what else are you gonna do? I mean, you want to kill one and do 30 years in jail? What are you gonna do? What do you want? What do you want to do?
Okay. What did we talk about at the beginning of the show, Duke? Mr. Fraser and Taylor Murray was around back at the beginning. This is what we always rationalize. Well, what can I do? Do I want to go to jail for 30 years? Do I want to lose my job, my house, my wife, my kids, my life? But we always look for somebody else to do it. That's the problem. It is a problem. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're incorrect. You're right. You don't want to sacrifice your life for a good cause, even doing the right thing, when it's going to be you that pays. Okay. Let me take this a step further, and I'm gonna get all up in your feelings tonight, fucking Duke. I'm gonna get all up in your feelings tonight. When I was in the States, I spent just as much time, if not more, down in the States than I have in Canada. All right, for one reason or another. When I was down there, I actually was part of the American 3% group, American 3% movement, and I left the movement because I call them a bunch of fucking wannabe frauds. Period. More concerned about selling patches and jackets and hats than actually doing the right thing. And now you're saying, but no, but they're patriots. Not everybody's like. Let me tell you something. You remember the incident with Finicum out in the West Coast? Wasn't too long ago, a couple of years. They took over a little area.
What?
Finicum, he got killed by the FBI and the
The guy in Oregon.
Was the guy in Oregon. That's right. That's right. And you had all these people saying, if the government does this, the 3% are going to be standing up because we're patriots and we're la la la. Even the few 3%ers that showed up in Oregon to assist them were calling out for help. And guess what their biggest response was? 96% of the time. I got no way out there, or I got to work in the morning. I got always an excuse. But yet you were just saying not too long ago on your page how if the government does this, we're going to stand up because blah, blah, blah. I'm the 3%, motherfucker. I'm a patriot. But yet we see it, and we see it in Canada. Okay? Now, that's not to say that not everybody that loves their country isn't a patriot and all this other wonderful stuff. What I'm saying is, see, here we are. Jason Fraser, you don't speak for us, buddy. Let me tell you, the guy that kicked off the fucking 3% movement in Canada, you know who that is? You also know he's a fucking criminal. You also know he won't speak to me on video. Okay? We're not going to get into all that because that's not the point of bringing it up. The point of bringing it up is this. If we as Canadians stood together and did what we needed to do, knowing that it'll cost us, knowing that we will risk shit, risk our comfort, risk our job, risk our freedom. Do you honestly believe that if 100,000 Canadians walked down to Parliament and placed Trudeau under arrest, that there would be enough cops or military in the area to stop us? You don't believe they're actually going to just open fire on folks? That's not going to happen. You know, but can we get 100,000 people together to show up in Ottawa? We hear, how many rallies have you been to, Ed?
Oh man, I lost count after 20.
What about you, Duke? How many rallies have you put together or showed up at?
I've lost count of how many I've put together and shown up at, and I'm going back to the mid 1980s here in Ontario, and you will get thousands of people saying, "I'll be there, brother," and 10 people show up.
There we go. And that is the problem. So people don't like when I say this shit, right? They get mad and they get all upset and they get all up in their feelings. But the reality is, we're facing these systemic outcomes like Islamic immigration that we see in Canada we don't want because of our lackadaisical attitudes. Period. We are to blame. Don't kid yourself. Don't get mad at Trudeau for doing what he's doing. He's doing what he's supposed to do for his team. Don't get mad at the NDP and Notley. Her interests aren't your interests. Her interest is getting paid. We did this. Okay? And nobody wants to hear that because nobody likes to take the blame for what's actually happening. We all want to think we're innocent and we're guilt-free. What did you tell me the other night, Ed? Back then, we were too busy fucking having fun. We were drinking, partying, doing this and doing that. We just didn't give a fuck. You know?
Life was good. Life was comfortable.
Life was good. Why do we want to pay attention to that horse shit when life is good? So we dropped the ball. And we got to start accepting that. We got to stop denying it. And we got to take responsibility and actually step up to the plate. It's got to be about unification to step up to the plate, period. This idea that there's somehow a separation between Canadians, there's not. You're born in Canada, you're a Canadian. You know what I mean? This is vested interest in Canada for people to actually take back our government, to take back our policy. We need shit like recall legislation. You know what I mean? We need that. We need to be able to say, that was a bad bill. That was bad legislation. We need to fucking pull it out there. We don't need to amend it. We need to fucking cancel it.
Yeah, but we can't.
Need to set things right.
We have no legislation that requires our government to listen to the people that elected them.
Exactly. No. And that's the problem.
The Senate was supposed to be the fail-safe.
But they bought the Senate.
Yeah.
Well,
we didn't pay attention.
Okay, no. You have to go back to 1792. The Senate was originally created as an appointed legislative council, not elected. That's why in provincial governments, we don't elect our Minister of Agriculture. We don't elect our Minister of Finance.
They're appointed based off the party.
In our federal government, we don't elect our Senate. We don't elect our Minister of whatever, Minister of Immigration. They're appointed. That all falls back to the government that was created in Newark, now known as Niagara-on-the-Lake, back in 1792. All our government structure, our entire country of government, every province and every federal government that's ever existed is based on the 1792 doctrine from, I believe it was King George of England at the time, brought here by Lieutenant Governor John Graves Simcoe. And in 1792, in Niagara-on-the-Lake, he formed the provincial government of Upper Canada, which went on to become the government of Ontario, okay, our provincial government.
You just mentioned a very important name.
A lieutenant governor general, and the other provinces don't.
You just mentioned a very important name. Okay?
What's that?
Graves. You just mentioned a very important name.
John Graves.
Tell the people who he is.
John Graves.
Not his title.
Pardon me?
Not just his title, but actually who he was.
He was in England. He was kind of a businessman of questionable character. He got very, very wealthy doing some rather questionable deals, and he was sent here by the crown to keep him out of interfering with other deals that England had going on, business deals that England had going on with France. And if my memory serves me correctly, it wasn't Germany. It might have been one of the other Eastern European countries somewhere near Germany. But England basically said, we got to get this asshole out of here because he's going to screw up this deal. So they made him the Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada. and sent
He was a
him
gangster.
as the Queen's representative to form a government to control the subjects of the crown. We as Canadians have never, ever been viewed as sovereign citizens. Our government system that we have in place today was created in 1792 in order to administrate and control the subjects of the crown. If you're a subject of the crown, you're no different than the crown's horse or goat or their cat in the castle. You are a subject.
And we've done this
not
over and over. They did it with the Hudson's Bay Company. They did it with all the reps ever since.
Yep.
So
Guys,
as a result,
it's getting late. It's 10:30. We've been an hour and a half or more here on tonight's show. Adolfo, I haven't heard squat from you. And sir, I would love to hear a little bit more from you, especially the rest of Canada needs to hear from Quebec, from Montreal. Anglo Canada needs to hear from Franco Canada. And if you'd be willing to spend some Friday, Saturday, or Sunday with us, I'd be glad to have you back on any of my 3 shows.
It'd be my pleasure. No problem.
We're back on. If you want to look on Facebook, you'll find Politically Speaking with Duke Willis.
Okay. Well, we're friends on Facebook. I friended you.
Okay, great. I apologize that I don't recognize your name, but I don't know how many thousand people on my friends list.
I'll come on when you guys are on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, great. Tomorrow night, Politically Speaking, I'll make sure I'll keep Gary off the screen so that things stay nice and quiet and somebody else gets to talk. He lives so far up north, he doesn't get to talk to people unless he comes on cam with me. So but yeah, I would love to hear a little more insight into what the man on the street in Quebec thinks about the rest of the country. Do they feel the same way the average Maple Leaf loving Canadian feels? Or are we to believe the bullshit hype that the CBC and Global want to feed us about Quebec trying to tear apart the country using this new political party?
No, they don't want to tear apart the country.
Well, you and I know that, and most people with an IQ above their shoe size know that. But when the election happened, the results of the election, a lot of the mainstream media across Canada came back to us and said, this is just another step towards separation, blah, blah, blah. They're doing their own thing, blah, blah, blah.
The guy Legault's a businessman. He's not separating. The guy's a self-billionaire. He's not separating.
Yeah, that's what real intelligent people are seeing, is that this guy's just not playing the globalist game, and the globalist propaganda machine is trying to drum up shit to cause trouble for him.
No, he looks good to me. Better than what we had, that's for sure.
Well, tomorrow night, Jason Frazier just popped a good question in here. Maybe this is something you can address tomorrow night, give you a day to have a look at things and see what kind of information you can bring to us. Is crime being affected as a result of your illegal immigration? Have a look into that and let us all know tomorrow.
All right. Well, I can tell you it is. I mean, there's women being raped every day here, but they keep it quiet. They do. And every time you look at the paper, they don't publicize the name of the guy. And right there, you know he's not a white guy.
Oh yeah, because if he was a white guy, they'd have his face and his name all over the place.
That's right. They're fucked up when it comes to women, man. I can't understand it. They can't control themselves, man. They're inbreds. It's fucking crazy.
You guys had that shooting at the mosque, yeah? And
that was a cover-up. That kid didn't do it. They set him up.
That's what I was going to ask you, because originally the first reports were it was Muslim.
That's right. It was two Muslim guys, yeah.
And then they changed the narrative to some white kid.
That's right. I was on live hearing that it was two Muslim guys that did it.
That's what I saw. I saw
that guy. They dropped him up, and he's in jail for nothing. He's innocent. That kid.
I saw the tweets. I saw the tweets from Muslims saying it was another Muslim. It was a Sunni guy.
That's right. Yeah.
And all of a sudden they changed. And I was like, why is nobody talking about this? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Tell you what, guys, we can discuss this tomorrow night,
All right.
and I will bring in one of my videos of Tom Quiggin. He talks about the shooting at the mosque. He talks about the pig head on the front steps of the very same mosque only 2 months before the shooting. He talks about how the founder of that mosque is also the Mosul or leader of the Eastern Brotherhood of Canada chapter.
There you go.
Okay.
Now, does
So
he
it's
also
a
talk
Muslim
about?
Brotherhood mosque. Sorry, Ed, what's that?
Does he also talk about the fact that the shooter's father was, I believe, either from Tunisia or Algiers?
The
Algiers.
shooter. No, he wasn't.
It was Algiers.
The
Yeah.
shooter. Oh, that kid Bissonnette.
Yes. And as a young boy, he was raised Muslim, and the family was broken up, and he hadn't seen his father for years and years. And
Wow,
it's
I
a
didn't hear that.
stereotypical shooter scenario where, if there's a broken home, those are usually the shooters. You look at all the shootings in the States and school shootings, broken homes, father was missing.
And medicated pharmaceutically.
Oh, that yeah.
Yeah. So
that kid looked normal to me, man. I don't.
we'll talk about that tomorrow night, and I'll get the video. It takes me, 5-10 minutes to get the video set up so I can play it here on Be Live and everybody can see it. So I'll have that all ready tomorrow, and that'll be something we can talk about tomorrow night on Politically Speaking, because there is a whole political aspect to it. Okay.
We also
We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll play the video. Everybody can hear what Tom Quiggin's got to say about it, and then we'll sit and talk about it.
Well, what time you guys on? 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock tomorrow night. 9 o'clock tomorrow night on Politically Speaking with Duke Willis. You can find the group page on Facebook. If you go into the search bar at the top of Facebook and you type in @TruthX
Okay.
it should take you. That's like a hashtag for the group.
Okay.
But it's called Politically Speaking with Duke Willis, just like On the Patio with Duke Willis.
Okay.
You can find it on my personal profile or just type it into the search.
Right. Well, that's where I found it tonight, on your personal profile.
Yep. You can find it on my personal profile. And there'll be a link, just like tonight, there'll be a link to join your cam in and join the show right there on the group timeline.
Okay. Well, you guys are only 3 people, or is that it? Or?
There's only 3 of us. I can only have 4 cams on at a time.
Okay.
I got a little bit of homework for some of the viewers.
I just want to watch the show, so I won't be on tomorrow.
Okay. Well, you can sit and watch and comment in the chat room.
A little bit of
That's what I was
homework.
trying to do tonight.
You got a nice dog.
Thank you. That's one of 4. Mr. Blue. Good boy. Blue. The growly one you heard is this cranky guy. And then Mr. Obama's, he's cranky too. He's the other growly. Hold on.
I need everyone to look at their birth certificate. Check if it's
This is
capital
Obama.
letters, mixed letters,
Obama.
or
Yeah.
written.
Why'd you
And-
get Obama?
And can you do something? Maybe move in closer to your microphone or speak up a bit. We can't hear you very well.
I got a little bit of homework for the viewers for tomorrow night. Take a look at your birth certificate. Take a look how it's printed out. Is it all capital letters?
The original one.
Yep, your original birth certificate. Take a look how it's typed out. It's probably all capital letters.
It's handwritten.
No, it's typed usually.
Oh, yeah?
Duke, you need to address the issue of admiralty law, corporations, and how people or corporations, the name is always capitalized. You know where I'm going with this one, eh?
Bingo.
Cattle.
Well, that's something I can explain to people tomorrow night as well, because I have a little video clip from Doug Force
You,
on FilmsCom, and he explains how in 1931 the U.S. Supreme Court of New York State ruled that corporations have legal personhood. So the word person legally means you, me, and Canadian Tire Inc. Corporations have legal personhood. When you read our Charter of Rights and Freedoms and it says persons, it's not referring to people. Persons are corporations. Your name in capital letters on your birth certificate is the same way a company's name is registered when you go to City Hall and register Bob's Drywall Company. All the letters in the corporate name are capitalized.
And the significance that has to do with
Birth certificate.
admiralty law.
You know what would be a good start, though? A really good start. That they get rid of George Soros and his son. You know what I mean? That guy's a devil. He's the cause of all this. George Soros and his son.
Well, no, they're just the face on the blade of the bulldozer. They're not the one in the driver's seat of the bulldozer. The ones in the driver's seat of the bulldozer, the ones in the driver's seat died decades and decades ago. Their ideology continues on.
No, he's in the driver's seat, dude. They got to get rid of that guy. They got to get rid of that guy.
Yeah, but Adolfo, if you get rid of him, the shadow corporations that he's created are still out there, and they'll continue on in perpetuity even after he's gone. He's already developed. They're like
in Hungary. They threw all Hungary. They threw all his organizations out. How come they did that? And he's Hungarian. They threw everything out. All his people. Everybody's out of Hungary, representing George Soros.
Care to comment on that, Ed?
Oh man, we haven't got enough time.
Yeah, but you got to get rid of him.
That's why
he's the head of the snake.
I'm just
got to get rid of him.
For those who don't know, Ed is first generation Canadian. His mother and father came from Eastern Europe, and he has some good experience, or at least knowledge of life under the Iron Curtain. And there's a reason they say under the Iron Curtain. Someday we'll get into that with Ed, but when you hear him talk, keep that in mind, because he's not talking out his ass. He's got a little bit of experience and knowledge in life outside a free country like Canada.
I can say one thing though. Hungarian women are gorgeous.
Hey, hang on a second, guys. We get two people talking at once and the system cuts in and out. Ed first.
Hungarian women are freaking gorgeous. Beautiful.
All right, you got to cut off by the dogs. Hungarian women are what?
Hungarian women are gorgeous.
Yeah, they are
gorgeous. Most of them. It's a sight to see.
Nothing better than a Hungarian woman with some pear palinka.
Well, she knows how to make a good goulash in love.
I'm going to bid you guys good night.
All right.
My dogs are getting cranky. I don't know why. I guess I got to give them a treat or something. I don't know. But you guys have a wonderful night. It was nice meeting you, Adolfo.
Nice meeting you, Gary.
Tomorrow, and you have a good night.
Okay.
Gary, thanks for joining me on the patio, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Adolfo, please come back. We need the French perspective, please, because we're not getting the
I'm not French, but I'll give you a perspective of. I'm not French.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You give us I'll tell you what I want, Adolfo.
Huh?
I want that man on the street, that blue collar worker, that average guy. I'm sick and tired of listening to suits and ties telling me how I should be a Canadian or what Canadians think. The average Canadians don't even own a fucking suit and tie, let alone wear one. Okay.
Right. Okay.
You're the boots on the ground in Montreal. You live there. You look around. You see it all. You hear it all.
I hear it all. Well, a lot of people are sleeping. We'll get into that too. I mean, a lot of people just don't know what's happening. They're just ignorant. You can't fix that. You can't fix that. I mean, liberals are mental, right? Liberals are crazy. They're just you can't convince a liberal of anything.
You guys have a night.
It's a mental disorder. They're crazy.
See you, Gary.
Good night.
Is it fair to say that liberals are open-minded whose mind actually fell out?
They're not open-minded. Liberals are closed-minded. It's their way or the highway.
They're open-minded. Problem is their mind fell out.
They did. It did. It did. You can't even reason with one. They're just they'll call you racist. That's all they do. You're racist. No?
Gentlemen, I thank you very much for tonight.
All right, no problem.
Good night.
Good night. I'll see you
Great
tomorrow.
conversation. Absolutely nothing to do with what I had originally wanted to rant about, but that's okay.
Right.
I'm sure people are just as happy to have not heard me screaming and yelling about politicians. Adolfo, I'm serious, buddy. I really like you to come and join us tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, politically speaking.
I will. I will.
And if you get the chance, have a look and see if you can find some news articles, let me know ahead of time. Either send me a message on Facebook or drop me a note at my email, dukewillis@gmail.com.
All right.
And I'll see if I can load the pages in and we could actually post them here during the video and talk about them, right?
Okay.
Like if you find some news clips or something.
Yeah, no, it'll be my pleasure. No problem.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Because that's what my shows are all about. They're not about as much as On the Patio is my chance to sit and rant. The whole format is.
I heard one of your rants and I added you as a friend. I liked it.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
As I was saying, the whole reason for this multicam format is so that people like you and Ed and Gary can come and join me, because it's not about just me. It's not about just Kevin Johnson. It's about all Canadians.
Well, we got to discuss who we're voting for, right? In a year from now, is it going to be Scheer, Bernier? I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. I don't like Scheer at all. I think he's like just sleeping.
As much as I don't believe politicians of any kind will save us from where we're going, if I have to vote, I would vote for a PPC candidate, for a Max Bernier candidate.
What if he doesn't win? They split the vote and you're stuck with Trudeau for another 4 years.
The 4 years won't last. It doesn't matter who wins. We don't control the timeline of what's coming. Sooner or later, there is going to be war on the streets, either Canadians against our government or Islam against Canadians. Okay? Sooner or later, Danforth Avenue is going to be repeated on Catherine Street in Montreal.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen.
Downtown Ottawa, or in Moncton, New Brunswick, or in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. It's going to start happening more and more, just like we're not seeing, but it's really going on in Germany and in England.
Forget about it. England and Germany are done. Forget it.
Yeah, well, guess what? The time is coming when we Canadians have to decide, are we going to let what happened in England and Germany happen here, or are we going to do something against it? That time's coming.
Well, it should be here already. Just people are sleeping. They're sleeping, man.
Austria put on the brakes. Hungary's put on the brakes.
Well, Italy, I love that. I love Salvini in Italy. I'm so proud of him. The guy, like, he's throwing everybody out, man. He's just he's on and people love him. They love him. He's on the street. He's like a rock star. That's what we need here. He's a rock star in Italy.
We need Don Cherry for prime minister.
That's right. I vote for him tomorrow, man. Tomorrow, I'd love that guy. That's what we need. We need it. We don't need a.
I agree. Cherry had the right approach.
Yeah.
You want to get the truth out of the guy? Red is positive, black is negative, and make sure his balls are wet.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what we need. We need a Donald Trump. We need a Salvini to tell everybody we're not taking refugees. Go fuck yourself. That's it. We've had it.
Well, Bernier's the only one that's saying screw.
Well, he doesn't really say it directly. He's got to say it.
Actually, he does. He says we're going to defund the UN.
Yeah, he has been taking a harder stand. By the way, I was hoping to go see Max Bernier this weekend. He was supposed to be in Niagara Falls, kicking off the new Niagara riding. And I found out this evening that he's not going to be able to make it.
But does he have a chance to win?
Pardon me?
Does he have a chance to win?
Donald Trump wasn't supposed to win.
Yeah, yeah, and that was exactly what was going through my mind was
He's no
no
Donald
one
Trump.
thought Trump would win except me.
I knew he would win.
I lost several friends who don't talk to me anymore because Trump won, and I was right. And
Trump
they
would burn you.
say, "Well, you were right."
Look at the rallies Trump had. There was hundreds of thousands of people. It's crazy. Crazy.
Well, in Toronto, I'd say there's 800 to 900 people at his rally a couple nights ago.
He's going to get the Quebec vote because he's French. That's for sure.
You think so? Is he popular in Quebec?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, well, there's a third of the seats. Now, the other half of the seats
Anti-immigration?
from Alberta.
If he's anti-immigration, he's popular. He's popular.
Wow. That's interesting news. Gentlemen, we need to talk about this tomorrow on Politically Speaking.
All right.
Night.
Guys, thank you so much. Folks that have been watching, thank you for watching. Ed, I'm going to say goodnight to you, sir. Thank you again for all your help. I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow night. Be safe. Be good.
Actually, I'm going to an event with KJJ tomorrow night.
Are you?
Yeah, so I might be coming on late.
Well, you know how to find us. Go back to Kevin's house and do it from Kevin's. Have him come on with you.
Who's that? Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. He lost his. I felt bad for him. He lost his bid to be mayor. Eh?
I feel good for him. I think he did good. He placed second.
Yeah.
And the fact that he got his name on the ballot, that's a big step in Mississauga.
You know how hard they worked to tear down all his signs, to silence him in the media.
Yeah, they didn't allow that. Even that poor girl, they didn't allow her in the debates there. The one that ran for mayor, Faith Goldie.
You should have seen at Max Bernier's event. Faith was there at the back entrance. City Pulse came in, lifted up the camera. They started to film, started to shoot her, and people started yelling at the cameraman. The guy almost shit his pants, put the camera down, and quickly walked to the exit door, left. CP24. I wish I would have got on camera. It was priceless.
Power of the people.
Yeah.
Anyways, good night, all.
Okay, good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good night, Ed. Good night, Adolfo. Thank you, buddy. I hope to see you tomorrow.
You will.
All right, cool.
All right. Good night.
Willis@gmail.com. If you've got anything you want me to include in the broadcast, send it to my email.
Can I send it on your Facebook?
Yeah, put it on my Facebook. I can share it from there.
No problem. It might be in French, and I'll translate it for you because the French newspapers and stuff.
Yeah, you can do that tomorrow night during the broadcast. It'll just like you see me and you on screen right now. Tomorrow night, I'll put you up, and the other half will be the article you want to talk about. So you can read it in French and translate it to English for people.
No problem, dude. It'll be my pleasure.
Awesome, buddy.
All right, man. Good night.
Adolfo, you are the reason I do this show, for Canadians to come and have a voice.
I believe it.
Thanks, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Good night, Adolfo.
Bye.
Excuse me. Well, there we go, folks. Another fine Friday night. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Where's my water gotten to? Another fine Friday night here on the patio. And it looks like we have the makings for a really good show tomorrow night, politically speaking, with Duke Willis at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, right here on Facebook, my group, Politically Speaking with Duke Willis. You can find the link on my personal timeline or on my profile. It's one of my 4 group pages here on Facebook, or you can go to YouTube and look for Politically Speaking on YouTube and watch the Facebook broadcast over YouTube. It went out tonight on my YouTube channel on the patio.
You can also email my YouTube channel at onthepatiowithDukeWillis@gmail.com. Folks, thanks for joining us tonight. Please go to my YouTube channels, On the Patio, Politically Speaking, and CPR, Canadian Patriot Report. Please go to those YouTube channels and subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the higher ratings I get with YouTube and the better streaming I get. Believe it or not, I get more bandwidth if I've got more subscribers. Honest, it's how it works. It's kind of like Facebook. The more likes and follows you get, the more perks you get, the better service you get. Believe it or not, that's how it works. And YouTube is the same way. Tomorrow night, I'm also going to explain and start giving away 10 exclusive VIP 1 month memberships to the December private opening of synthesissocial.com, a Canadian only, honest, I kid you not, you got to have a Canadian postal code to join this site. Nobody from Africa is going to be joining this site. Only Canadians. Synthesissocial.com. I've got 10 VIP memberships to give away for the exclusive limited opening in December, December 1st, for simplysocial.com. There's a little contest that Gary spoke about last night. They have 5 content producers. I'm one of the 5 content producers. Each of the content producers has been given 10 memberships to give out to followers. Those 10 memberships have to be busy for the whole month of December, liking, sharing, commenting. The busiest, most active group of 10 will receive a prize from Gary Gilbert, who you met tonight here on my show. He's the founder of Synthesis Social. He will give out a prize to the group of 10 that is the most active on the site during the month of December. It's not open to the public until January. If you want to be part of this team who's going to test, comment, and help build Canada's only, Canadian only Patriot website, contact me. I've already had 2 people send me emails. DukeWillis@gmail.com. Just put in it synthesis, SYNTHESIS, SOCIAL.com. Synthesissocial.com. Yes, you wind up with a whole bunch of S's right in the middle of the word. SISS is right in the middle of the word. It throws my eyes off when I type it out, but it looks weird. It's hard to say, but it's going to be a great site. I've been on the site. It's laid out just like Facebook, only it's better. Keep in mind that Facebook is what, 15 years old, something like that, 18 years old, and they've been redesigning based on the original structure. It's kind of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's kind of tilting over a bit. Whereas Synthesis is brand new, structured from the foundation up, okay, with new technology, not 18-year-old ideas that have been redesigned and revamped and put new siding on an old house. Okay, that's kind of Facebook. Synthesis Social is an entirely brand new house, built brand new from the ground up. If that makes any sense to you. If you want to be part of this, synthesissocial.com, send me an email, dukewillis@gmail.com, and maybe you can be one of my 10 chosen members of this new Canadian only page. Folks, I'm out of here. Thanks for spending the night with me. Jason, Julie, the rest of you, Pat,
Everybody, thanks for hanging in with me. We'll see you tomorrow night, Politically Speaking with Duke Willis. See you, folks. Keep it Canadian.
There you go, folks. Another night with On the Patio. We hope to catch you tomorrow night right here. Well, not here. Over on my other YouTube channel, On the Patio. You'll find our live show right there on YouTube, On the Patio. Take care, folks. You can always email this chat room, or this page rather, at On the Patio with Duke Willis at gmail.com. Take care, folks. We'll see ya.